Arsenal's breakout season. After just a few games, Arsenal looks like a legit contender for the Premier League title this season. Will this be Arsenal's breakout season? Will this team be able to compete with the likes of a Liverpool or Man City squad? Could they go back to the glory days with Mikel Arteta? I will take a deep dive. Let's get right into it. The signing of Gabriel Jesus has been a revelation for Arsenal, as just recently, after 3 games, he has scored twice and assisted 3 times at the moment of this recording. This is the only particular signing that has made an immediate impact for Arsenal. On the other hand, Arsenal's other huge signing this summer, Fabio Vieira, is still trying to incorporate himself into the squad. If we go a little bit back in time, the last time Arsenal was even close to the title contention was in the 2015-2016 season. They finished second, right behind Leicester City. And to look back into that 2015-2016 squad, they were not as competitive as this season, because if we look closely in the goalkeeper spots, they had the likes of Petr Cech, Emiliano Martinez, and David Ospina. Even though they might be better options than Ramsdale right now, it was an old and declining Petr Cech. And the David Ospina, I wouldn't say is better than Ramsdale at the moment. The only other one that obviously they couldn't really start or play was Emiliano Martinez, and right now he's doing pretty good with Aston Villa. And if we go into the center back and right backs and left back options, back in the 2016 season, they had the likes of Per Mertesacker, Lauren Koscielny, Nacho Monreal from the left back position, as well as Kieran Gibbs and Hector Bellerin. So I would say they weren't world-class defenders back then. They kind of just did the job for Arsene Wenger, and they weren't better center backs than the ones that Mikel Arteta have right now in their squad. And if you go to the midfielders, I would say this is where the midfield kind of stands out this season. They had the likes of Aaron Ramsey, Santi Cazorla, Jack Wilshere, and Mesut Ozil. I would say those center mid and attacking options were definitely way better than the ones that they have right now. Obviously, you can kind of compare the same thing, Odegaard as Ozil, but Ozil was a way better player overall and had shown signs of greatness back then. In the attacking options, obviously you can't really compare Alexis Sanchez right now, but back then he was a top 5 player in the league, as well as Theo Walcott. He was obviously a really young star coming up for Arsenal, as well as Serge Gnabry, Olivier Giroud, and Danny Welbeck. Even though they really didn't end up being world-class strikers, they kind of did the job for Arsene Wenger and were able to get the goals that they needed in order to play second that season. But then if you go into this season, the amount of people that Mikel Arteta has brought in this season has been Gabriel Jesus from Man City, Alexander Zinchenko from Man City, kind of giving a competition to Kieran Tierney for that spot, as well as Fabio Vieira, which is, costs around the same as Zinchenko, but also hasn't been really playing. He's adapting himself into his style of play. And then we kind of all know that Marquinhos, the 19-year-old from Sao Paulo, was brought in by Mikel Arteta and hasn't been, I believe he hasn't started or anything like that. Just those 4 major signings has made them become into the first place right now. When you compare it to this year's squad, in the goalkeeper spot, they only have Ramsdale, which I would say is not as good as back then when they had 3 really good keeper options where they can kind of rotate, kind of give opportunities to the other goalkeepers as well. But then in the defense, Kieran Tierney, Ben White, Gabriel, Saliba. Saliba did a really good job in the game versus Bournemouth. He scored that really great kind of volley-ish goal across the corner pretty much. Tomiyasu's a great right back. I would say they have a solid defense, even a better defense now than what they had previously. And when you go into the midfield, they have the likes of Odegaard, which is kind of a similar player to Ozil, as I mentioned before. They have Fabio Vieira, which is kind of incorporating himself into the squad. Granit Xhaka, which I wouldn't say he's like world-class midfielder, but he kind of does his job by assisting and kind of being that defensive mid that they need. Even Partey, even though he was kind of expensive when they brought him in, he just kind of does a dirty job for Arsenal. But if you go into the attacking, this is where it comes a little bit. I'd say that this season is better than the 2016 season when it comes to attacking, because they have the likes of Talisman and Gabriel Jesus with those 2 goals and 3 assists already in 3 games. They have Martinelli, which is a great winger. Not close to that Alexis type of style winger, but he's getting there. I think this season could be the season that he can break out into what they need him to be. Nicolas Pepe, obviously a huge signing that they had a few years ago, hasn't been really been able to play or hasn't really started. He's a great bench warmer, I would say. He's a great bench player. He comes out the bench and does a lot of great things for them. And obviously, Nketiah is really young, pretty promising forward. I think he just needs playing time. I think under a sub would be great, under the pretty much the influence of all those players together, making them a really great group, I'd say. And I guess my predictions for this season, I'd say it's not really a prediction since they're pretty much first place right now under no other competition at the moment. He's 3 wins out of 3 games played. They probably come top 5, but I'd say my bolder prediction would be a top 3. Obviously, Liverpool hasn't been really consistent in these last 2 games, but they can always bring it back up. And you compare the squad by squad with Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal. Arsenal does not have a deep enough squad to compete with those 2, and I think Liverpool will be able to catch that second spot or even that first spot, but you never know if it's a Premier League. If so many injuries come about, then how will Arsenal be fitting in at the end of the season? So yeah, that's my bolder prediction, and I hope if you guys like the video, these types of topics, please give a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.